Hey guys, welcome back to Brain Dump. I'm Kai. Today we're going to be talking about gratitude. I used to have a toxic positivity mindset, I guess, of just happiness is a choice. And I understand the intention behind saying happiness is a choice, and, while it's meant to empower, I feel like it just oversimplifies the complex nature of human emotions and different circumstances. There are so many things that are out of our control, like mental health issues, life events. The experiences you have heavily influence our capacity for feeling happy, For someone that's struggling with depression or facing systemic inequality or enduring loss, just the statement of happiness is a choice might feel dismissive. Happiness is a choice is not the greatest way to look at it. It's important to approach discussions of happiness with, empathy and acknowledge that everyone has different experiences. You can't just choose to be happy because you never know what someone's going through and you never know what they've been through. A book I finished reading today, actually, it's called The Source. It's really good. It's really interesting to me, and this stuck out to me. It said, our brains actively grow and change during childhood. In contrast, as adults, we have to consciously direct ourselves to grow and develop as people. And shifting perspective makes such a huge difference. I think rather than happiness is a choice, a better way of looking at it is gratitude is a choice. My therapist would always talk about gratitude and, how important it is, but before I thought that gratitude was simply feeling happy about good things in your life. And that was such a polarizing mindset. So in my brain, I had to debunk that misconception and start seeing gratitude for what it actually is. It's a deliberate choice to appreciate what you have, even when things are shitty. I've been doing Hot Thunder the past few days, which is the rowing at HotWorks, and the virtual instructors are always so funny with their motivational talk, but this guy said, what doesn't challenge you doesn't change you, and I've literally been screaming that with him in the sauna because it's so true. Challenging yourself is the only way to grow, plain and simple. And gratitude won't fix everything. You can't just ignore your problems because you're trying to practice gratitude. That's just not how it works. It's supposed to be a source of strength during those really shitty times. And consistency is key. I know I always say that, but you have to frame gratitude as something that you integrate into your daily life. So kind of going backwards a little bit, I mentioned that book that I read called The Source by Tara Swart. It's kind of what gave me the idea for this episode because it opened my eyes to things I didn't know about. And I literally finished that book in less than 2 days. She basically talks about the potential of your brain, or the source, and how neuroplasticity can rewire your brain to be successful based on your thoughts and the experiences that you've had. And the book also goes into the law of attraction, which I guess I had a little bit of prior knowledge on it, but it was really interesting to me because focusing on your desires can influence your behavior so those desires you have come true. I think gratitude and mindfulness go hand in hand, and they're both very important. Another thing I was talking about with my therapist, you can do anything mindfully. She told me about this class that she took in grad school, and it was literally just a mindfulness class. They would do assignments about doing the most mundane daily tasks mindfully. So if you think about it, you can do anything mindfully. You can breathe mindfully, drink mindfully, read mindfully. You can eat mindfully. Say you have a really good meal you're about to munch on. You're locking in. You are locking into the meal. Practicing mindfulness during that is just engaging your senses and experiencing the full thing. You've got to slow down and just think about what's going on in that moment. Enjoy it. Expressing gratitude to someone that you love can be awkward if you're not the type of person to randomly say, hey, I appreciate you. And I know it seems weird, but like I said earlier, what doesn't challenge you doesn't change you. The person that you're expressing that gratitude for will appreciate you. Gratitude feels like the biggest life secret. That's the key. And I found it. If gratitude was a pill, it would probably be considered a miracle drug, and we would pay so much fucking money for it. But that's the great thing. It's free. It's a conscious choice, and you just have to put in the work. Lately, I've been looking at gratitude like it's a muscle, like the more you try to be grateful, the easier it is to be grateful, and slowly you'll find more and more things to be grateful for. I used to be a very resentful and bitter person inside, so being grateful was something I did have a very hard time with, but again, I kept working out that muscle, and now it's like second nature. And I didn't even realize how angry I was inside until I started practicing gratitude. Like, I get to live this life. I get to record this silly little podcast, and I get to take my antidepressants to help my brain. I get to drink water, clean water. Not everyone has that advantage. I get to go to Hot Works. I get to have a great workout, and I get to shower after. Like, I am so fucking grateful. Practicing gratitude does not mean shitty things won't happen, because shitty things are always going to happen, but you've got to learn to be resilient. And do you know how fortunate we are? I think about that all the time. I get to watch the sunset. I get to journal. I get to spend time with my family. I get to read. I am so fucking grateful that I get to do all of that. There are so many things that happen in our lives that make us want to give up, and that's the beautiful thing about life. You have that choice too. If you want to give up, go ahead. But life will be waiting for you to come back to it. You can't run away from your life. That's not something you can do. And that's why I think the more I've practiced gratitude, the easier it is to come back from the times that I've given up, because the good things in your life become clear. Gratitude is a point of perspective, and you've got to be ready to take on perspective if you want to change your life. Anyway, yeah. I fucking love gratitude. It's so good. If you haven't tried it, go ahead. It'll change your fucking life. Okay, so I have 2 books of the week. Of course, The Source by Tara Swart, like I've talked about. And I also read Growing Up in Public, Coming of Age in a Digital World by Devorah Heitner. This book is the epitome of shit that I'm interested in, because it's just all about children growing up on social media and how detrimental it is to our brains. And this is another book that I just couldn't put down. I finished it in a day. And yeah, I would recommend. Very good. Also, if you haven't, go to the library, sign up for a library card. Even if you're not going to use it, the numbers count, and that helps put money towards our public library systems. So even if you're not going to get a fucking library book, just sign up for a card. Just give them that number, okay? Alright. Songs of the week. Not Strong Enough by Boy Genius, Turn Around by Dayglow, My Tears Ricochet by Taylor Swift, Poison Poison by Renee Rapp, and Hurts Me by The Wallows. Also, I want to talk about this because I don't think I was in the wrong, but the other day I was on my way to the library and it was a little rainy, and then this car in front of me was like swerving all over the road. She kept on slamming on her brakes, she kept stopping in the middle of the road. There was a whole line of people behind me, and I'm like, I'm not trying to get rear-ended today. So I started honking at her. Then I started flashing my brights at her, because I honked at her like twice, and she was just stopped in the middle of the road. And there was no way I could go around her because there was traffic coming from the other side. And so I flashed my brights at her, and then she, opened her window and pulled over to the side of the road like she was going to try to talk to me, but I thought she was just going to let me pass. But so she pulls over to the right side in the right lane, and she rolls down her window, and I'm like, oh, she's going to let me pass. And so then she starts yelling at me out her window. I don't know what she was saying, but then she drives ahead of me again, and I had to slam on my brakes, and there's a whole line of people behind me that are honking too, and I'm just so confused. So at this point I just start honking. I'm like, honk, honk, honk. I'm not going to stop. We need to go. It's raining. This is how accidents happen. If you're having car troubles, put your hazards on. How are we supposed to know? Anyway, so this girl, we get to the light. It's red when we get there, so I'm like, okay, you can be stopped now. It's fine. But then it turns green and she doesn't go. So, I honk at her because when you're on a fucking green light, you're supposed to go. And she gets out of her car and she starts yelling and walking towards my car. And then she was on the phone. She was holding her phone in one hand, flicking me off in the other, screaming. And then she was walking towards my car, but then she went towards the front of her car. I guess her hood was open or something, and then she did something with it, turned around, flicked me off again, screaming still, got back in her car, and then she started driving, but she was driving 2 miles per hour. I just wasn't trying to get hit, I'm not in the mood to get rear-ended again. I already got rear-ended by a school bus. That wasn't fun. Anyway. See, I think about that, and it's funny to me. That situation for past me would have, oh my god, I would have been still like having so much anxiety over it. Like, oh my god, what did I do to her? Like, no, I wasn't in the wrong, and it doesn't matter, you know? And it's like, I don't care. And that's so fucking weird. And I know that's so bare minimum, but if you know my brain, you know I'm fucking cuckoo monks crazy. It doesn't bother me. I just look back and I'm like, that was fucking weird. I can laugh at that. Anyway, yeah. Also, it's spring break, guys. I still have to submit one more assignment. It's due tomorrow, but yeah, spring break. Happy spring break. Okay. Anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you practice some gratitude this week and in all the weeks. Remember, you're loved, you're valued, you're appreciated, and be grateful. Okay. Love you. Bye.